prince. The backdrop for this video is around 3200 BC, which was about 100 years after the flood of Noah. The world was still recovering from the cataclysmic effects of it. However, at that time, the people of the world stood divided into two factions. Those were the ones who believed in Yahweh God and the ones that stood against him because he brought forth the flood. Noah, who had escaped the flood, had three sons, namely Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Out of those three sons, Ham had fallen out with Noah and his god Yahweh. In fact, Ham owned the whole continent of Africa, and he was with his son Cush, who ruled Egypt. The second son Japheth and his descendants had spread over the northern part of Turkey, Mediterranean islands, Europe, and all over the Arctic regions, and were slipping into pagan practices. Meanwhile, Shem, the most pious among the three sons, established ancient India. Indians know him as King Bharat. At this point, certain events that took place in Egypt pushed Ham and his son Cush out of Egypt. Cush arrived in Mesopotamia, and there he built a city called Kish after his own name. We have archaeological evidence for that. However, that city was taken over by Sargon I, and the children of Cush moved towards India and started ruling different parts of it. Before their arrival in India, Indians were all a fair-skinned mix of Semitic and Japhethic people, and they used to look down upon the Kushites because they had mingled with the fallen entities of the abyss, which had made them huge and not so pleasing to look at. Indians called them Rakshash. You can come across one such event in Mahabharata, where the Japhethic prince Arjuna married a Naga woman named Ulupi of mixed origin, and the way in which the society around him reacted to that. However, this window of time of Indians being all fair-skinned lasted a little less than 500 years after the flood. And later, the mingling of Kushites with the Indians in large numbers made the brown Indian population we see today. Now, the time of Mahabharata was the beginning period of the Kushites' entry into India, which was around 2850 BC. In Mahabharata, you can see Krishna, who was a black Kushite, interacting with many fair-looking people of erstwhile India. Just prior to that, according to Hindu literature, Lord Rama was growing up in Ayodhya, which was the capital city of his father Dasharatha's Kosala kingdom. In fact, Dasharatha was not a name. It was just a title which meant the one who owned 10 chariots. And again, the same Dasharatha is also the Kashyap of Hindu religion. The valley of Kashmir bears his name because he drained the swamp of that region and made it inhabitable for people. That's not all. There is another claim that he was the son of Swayambhu Manu, who was born of Brahma. Above that, he is also a person named Cush in the Bible. Taking a look at the biblical genealogy could clarify this confusion. The biblical Ham, whose name is spelled out as Khawm, Kham, is known as Kamdev in India, and his son was Cush, and Cush's son was Rama, and from Ramayana we also know that Rama's son bore his grandfather's name and was called Kusha. Well, this is history, probably never heard before. However, why do you think Hinduism hides the identity of Kush so badly? I guess it's because It wants to be indigenous and break off from its African roots. Thanks for watching.